Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. You got DanK here, and we got my sidekick, our co-host, Jeremy. Thanks for coming in again, Jeremy. Jeremy's a good example of people that heard we're doing a show, and came on by and been helping out ever since. So, welcome to come down any Monday night at 7:30 at the Community TV, CTV 29 Studios next to KRVM behind Sheldon High School. So come on by, and we could use some help with the show, and we definitely need some guests to come on, talk about your cannabis story, how it affected your life, and everything about it. So you're welcome to do that. And another couple more quick announcements. I want to talk about the Growers to Patients website. We've been having a fairly good use of that, but we need to really get people using it again. If you are a grower looking for a patient, or a patient looking for a grower, looking for new strains, anything related to do with medicines, medical marijuana, go to growerstopatients.net. And that's a service. It's absolutely free, and it's there to be used, and for heaven's sakes, use it. Apologize not bringing the t-shirts in for like I had here last week. We are having a fundraiser, making a donation, taking donations for some of the t-shirts. I'll bring those in next week. Volunteer meeting coming up. This is coming this Saturday, the 18th. We're going to meet at our friend Barkley's house at 70 Azalea Drive. It's out on off of River Road, and I believe it's bus 50 and 51, if I got that correctly. So that's at 2 o'clock on Saturday, the 18th. Definitely need volunteers to come on by. It's going to be. I keep saying this every year, and it keeps getting bigger. It's going to be even a bigger banner year this year. We're taking off already. So anyway, let's get into a couple things coming up here that I became aware of. I thought I'd spread the word. A couple workshops coming up. First of all, I want to talk about this is starting a dispensary in Oregon. Now that the HB 3460 is passed, we'll be talking about that a little bit more later. But anyway, the dispensary law passed, and starting, I think it's in March, they're going to be starting the dispensary process. So this is a workshop on how to run a dispensary in Oregon, and it's not free. I got to tell you up front, but it's a group called Oregon Cannabis Institute, and coincidentally, the website is OregonCannabisInstitute.com. And the seminars and they're both in Portland. The next two are scheduled February 15th and 16th, and then March 22nd and 23rd. Those are 2-day seminars. He says, if you'd like to start a dispensary in Oregon or a grow operation, this seminar is for you. Our attorneys, accountant, and industry professionals will help guide you in the right direction with the latest House Bill 3460 dispensary rules, regulations, and licensing requirements. Cover subjects like how to deal with landlords, bookkeeping and paying taxes, banking solutions, advertising strategies. This goes on and on. So and some of the type of people who will be at the seminar would be a cannabis tax accountant, cannabis business law attorney, cannabis testing lab, seed to sale software, professional growers, etc. So if you got a phone number here, and if you're interested in that, get a hold, or just go to the website, OregonCannabisInstitute.com, and that is again coming up February 15th and 16th is the next ones. And then we have the Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference. That's coming up in Ashland, Oregon, at the Ashland Springs Hotel. That's January 30th and 31st. This is put on by our friend. My mind went blank here. Anyway, Alex Rogers. Yeah, Alex Rogers is putting this on. And it's discussions will cover a variety of topics, understanding the new rules and regulations surrounding Oregon dispensaries, the businesses surrounding the medical cannabis industry, legislative issues that might affect the business climate of the state, updates on legal proceedings regarding local governments and their authority to limit or ban dispensaries in their respective jurisdictions, and more. So anyway, that's coming up. That's coming up the 30th and the 31st, and there's a charge on this. I've forgotten what I think it was $95, if I remember correctly, on this one, Tuesday. But anyway, that's coming up, so I wanted to be aware of it if you're interested. Help guiding people into the new way things are supposed to go with the dispensary law. Then Jeremy, you want to read the story coming out of Denver?
State alters 420 mile marker sign to thwart thieves. Thieves have been stealing the 420 mile marker sign so often the state's transportation problem has changed. Department has changed it to 4 or 19.99 in an effort to stop the problem. A photo of the 419.99 marker sign, which is about 148 miles on Interstate 70 east of Denver, began circulating on Twitter on Friday. So this is our way to test it out. So far it's working, said a spokesperson with the Colorado Department of Transportation. It's a traffic safety thing. It's helpful to have these signs on the road, but people keep ripping them off. The number 420 is often used as a reference to smoking marijuana. The 419.99 sign and has been put up within the last year. They also say they've had problems with thieves stealing the 69 mile marker sign in the past.
Yeah, and earlier I was talking about this, and I said there were 48 comments. I was mistaken. There was 87 comments that people wrote in with different comments about this article. And some of them made the point that they figured that this new sign was going to be stolen just about as much frequency, because people will say, this is the 419.99 mile marker, where are you, and where's your last tenth of a mile or something, or a hundredth of a mile. But anyway, it's kind of humorous, so that's just one of the things about the culture and some of the ramifications of the way things are going. The medical marijuana in Oregon, rules to be posted within a week. State is hiring the staff for the retail registry. Rules for Oregon's this is from the Oregonian, written by Noel Crombie. Rules for Oregon's medical marijuana dispensary industry should be posted in about a week, state officials said Tuesday. The rules will be the subject of a series of public hearings around the state before they are finalized. However, the state will allow dispensaries to operate under temporary rules after March 3rd, when the state begins accepting applications from prospective outlet owners. Officials with the Oregon Health Authority are creating a website for the state's registry of medical marijuana retailers, said Karen Fish, an agency spokeswoman. The state will begin accepting applications online from prospective businesses at 8:30 a.m. March 3rd. Fish said officials hope to launch the website by the end of the month. It will feature a draft application as well as information about the applicants need to comply with the law. Meanwhile, the state is in the process of hiring 4 staff members to help oversee the registry. 2 will be inspectors and 2 will perform administrative duties. There's a job I like to do. Meanwhile, the state is in the process of hiring 4. So yes, we did that. The Oregon legislature last year approved a law which, for the first time, regulates the robust marijuana retail industry that has cropped up in parts of the state in recent years. While retailers will fall under a blizzard of regulations starting next spring, marijuana growers and the cottage industry of companies testing the drug for potency and impurities will continue to operate without state oversight even under the new law. That the registry hasn't opened has not dampened the industry's momentum. Weedmaps.com, which lists dispensaries by geographic area, lists more than 90 retailers in Oregon.
I thought that it was starting on March 1st, but that's weird that they said March 3rd on the article.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I haven't been going to any of the hearings and such. I'm not sure. But it's interesting that it's in the thing. And that's the thing that bothers me about it is, for instance, we're talking about these last 2 workshops that are coming up. People are putting all this effort into the workshops, charging all this money to throw on the workshops, you know, and wait a minute, what about legalization? We're kind of losing their focus here, you know. The legalization movement in the state of Oregon, in my humble opinion, is probably dying. I don't think we're going to make it in 2014. I hate to admit it, but to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to make it. But anyway, I hope I'm wrong. So now we're, you know, in a big push on dispensaries, which is great. I'm glad to see patients be able to get their medicine, but anyway, that's just my humble opinion. Interesting story out of Portland, the marijuana festival. Portland City Council opens the door for the waterfront park, Hempstalk Festival a bit. The problem here was the city said because of prior drug use at prior events that they didn't want to have them at the waterfront park in downtown Portland, which is supposed to be the site of the Hempstalk this year. But the city was refused, and so they fought back. And it gets kind of close to home because this is similar to our history, the Emerald Empire Hemp Fest. After our event in 2003, the city of Eugene in 2004 wouldn't let us have an event in the city park because he said, based on our prior experience in 2003, it would be a danger to the public to have an event in the city park. And I still have the letter, that's the exact quote. So we went from there, thanks to help from the Lane County ACLU. We got them together with a meeting with the city and worked it out, and we've been having a problem-free event ever since. But anyway, Portland's having trouble there, so this is the latest. It says Hempstalk Festival won't be at Portland's Tom McCall Waterfront Park on the first week of September, following a city council vote Thursday backing up Portland Parks and Recreation and denying the festival a permit for that weekend. But after more than 2 hours of testimony, the city also kept the door open for the pro-marijuana legalization group. It seems to me, Portland Mayor Charlie Hale said, that the place it ought to take place is Waterfront Park. Hale's added the qualifier if the event is manageable. When or if that maybe becomes a yes remains to be seen. Thursday's meeting was a first for the city. Parks officials say they couldn't recall an appeal to a permit ruling going before City Council. The Parks Bureau doesn't typically deny permits for events it's previously approved. The 2014 Hempstalk would be the 10th annual event, which has been held at a variety of locations over the years, including Waterfront Park in 2005 and 2006. And by the way, Waterfront Park is right next to the Saturday Market, the Portland Saturday Market. I mean, they're just right there. And so that's why that's a real prime spot to be. I mean, could you imagine having a Hemp Fest next to our Eugene Saturday Market? You know, that's
yeah, maybe then they would stop competing with us.
Do what?
Yeah, maybe then they would stop competing with us.
Oh, yeah. Both festival supporters, the Parks Bureau, and City Council are in agreement that the status quo isn't working. Kelly Point Park in North Portland, which has hosted the event since 2009. Oh, okay. Anyway, I got caught there. We're got to cut it off here.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a lawyer.
I'm a journalist.
I'm a student.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a representative.
I have cancer.
The outdated laws of prohibition are more dangerous than the plant itself.
I lost my scholarship.
I was fired.
20 million arrests since 1965. This is getting ridiculous.
Our prisons are overcrowded with non-violent offenders.
We have the opportunity to change.
This is costing our country billions of dollars.
Making my family and I fight in a courtroom is difficult enough when I'm already fighting through chemotherapy.
There's no reason to be scared by tradition anymore.
We can stop this.
We can stop this.
We are the American people.
We can stop this.
And you have our support.
We're old,
Young,
straight,
Gay.
we're every race and nationality.
And we're not going to give up.
You can tax it.
You can regulate it.
Apply age restrictions.
you can create millions of new jobs.
We can save our economy.
President Obama?
It's time for legalization.
Legalization.
Yes.
We
Can.
This has been a public service announcement.
Welcome back to the second segment of Eugene Cannabis TV. I got caught off guard there last time, and we were talking about the Portland City Council refusing the Portland Hempstalk to use the waterfront park. But they appealed, and so it's on again, so they will be a waterfront park. However, they have to change the date because after they refused Hempstalk, they went ahead and accepted the Portland Dragon Boat Race for that weekend. So now September 5th and 7th is no longer available at that park. So they're going to be announcing the new date later on. So we'll see how that works out. But anyway, it's good news that they're finally getting that straightened out, and it's a little bit similar to the Emerald Empire Hemp Fest, the problems we had 2003 and 2004. So anyway, so we're moving on, and we have the story that Jeremy we talked about last week, and Jeremy read the article and thought we should talk about it and bring it in. Do you want to talk about what you read about it, and what you thought about it, and what you...
It's kind of long, but I could summarize.
No, don't read it. Just talk about it.
Basically, they were talking about out on January 1st, any person in Colorado over 21 can walk into a retail marijuana facility, and they were talking about the process of everything that they had to go through to get the dispensaries. Basically, someone had already spent $60,000 to go through the process, and he thinks he's going to spend $10,000 more before it's over. So it really does cost a lot to open up a dispensary in Colorado. That's one of the reasons why they're charging as high as $70 for an eighth.
Yeah, exactly, and that's an interesting situation because our argument has always been legalize it and legalize it, tax it.
But tax it within reason.
Yeah, exactly. But now the interesting thing is now because of the cost of the fees and because of the insurance and all things combined, now they're selling it for more than the street value, and that's an interesting dilemma because at some point people are going to say, well, why should I pay extra? Go to the store, I can go in the corner and buy it cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's not going to really. So anyway, it's an interesting dilemma.
It's already a little bit like that in Oregon with some of the medical stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to the street, you're not going to get medical quality.
And it's interesting that you look at Colorado and Washington, they're completely different programs. Even though they're both legalized, it's different. And they're all having their unique problems. Washington is having problems because they're concerned that the retail is still going to interfere with the medical. The driving limits, driving under the influence limits were set by that law. Yeah, they never got that right. And yeah, they set it way too low. A lot of people felt, and that's starting. I was reading. We had an article where marijuana DUIs are taking a big spike in Washington.
There's not really any scientific tests to show when somebody smoked marijuana through a blood test yet, so it's not really a good way to test people for a DUI because they could have done it earlier in the month.
Right, and it's an arbitrary number. Like Jeremy's saying, it's an arbitrary number. There's no limit. We don't really know where the person is really that impaired or not. So anyway, that's just some of the ramifications of legalization. But it's interesting that we can watch Colorado, watch Washington, and then see what we come up with in Oregon. However, like I said, the way things are going in Oregon, to be honest with you, the movement is highly dysfunctional, and it's a mess. But anyway, so let's go on to the headlines. This is from the stopthedrugwar.org. Great website. I recommend it highly. You can go and sign up for their weekly headlines, just like we do, and get a real, like a headlines, and then they got, of course, got the full article if you want to read up on it. So we bring it in and just read the headlines and quick little rundown of what the story is about. And so if you want to check it out, you can go to stopthedrugwar.org. So you want to start the first one, Jeremy?
The top 10 international drug policy stories of 2013. 2013 saw a historic breakthrough on the international front, as well as evidence that powerful currents are shifting away from the prohibitionist consensus of the last half century. But there is also the continuity of, as the drug war, drug production, and the use and trafficking of drugs and all continued apiece, although not without innovation.
Yeah, and the top. They also had the top 10 domestic drug policy stories of 2013. Last year's receding in the rearview mirror, but before looking forward to the battles of 2014, we take a moment to savor what was overall a pretty big year for drug reform on the domestic front.
Medical marijuana update. Regulated dispensaries are coming to Oregon. It's looking increasingly likely that a medical marijuana initiative is coming to Florida. New York's governor sticks a toe in the water, and California's battles continue.
New York governor to establish medical marijuana program by executive action. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, Democrat, will issue an executive order implementing a limited medical marijuana program. He will make the announcement during his State of the State speech Wednesday.
CNN poll finds support marijuana legalization. Another poll comes in showing a rapid increase in support for marijuana legalization and a solid majority now favoring it. This one is from CNN.
This week's corrupt cop stories. Bad cops get sued in Chicago. Drugs are missing in Baltimore. An Ohio cop rips off the DARE program.
This isn't surprising.
And a Louisiana jailer gets caught smuggling pot and tobacco.
January 2, 2014. The new year starts off with a whole bunch of marijuana news. The DEA, a Cartagena prosecution scandal gets an update. Another Republican and governor calls for welfare drug testing. A South Korean comedian gets hammered for toking up, and more.
Yeah, and Republican governor calls for welfare drug testing. They just don't let go. Even though it keeps getting knocked down, it's unconstitutional when the laws are passed. They still keep trying to put it through. Republicans just don't seem to learn. So January 3rd, today is one of those days when it seems like drug reform is all about marijuana. We have 4 domestic stories all about marijuana policy and 2 international stories, both about marijuana policy. And then there's the Breaking Bad contest winner thinking he's Florida's answer to Walter White.
January 6, 2014. Marijuana continues to suck the air out of the room when it comes to drug policy, with news on the legalization, medical, and international fronts. The only non-marijuana related item we have today is the murder of a confidential informant.
January 7th, 2014, another poll shows solid majority support for marijuana legalization. Florida's medical marijuana initiative appears to be within the reach of qualifying for the ballot if the state Supreme Court doesn't block it. Sweden's justice minister falls for a pot death hoax, and a UN official has a grim warning on Afghanistan, and more.
January 8, 2014. In East Coast governors speak against marijuana legalization, but D.C. voters may get a chance to have their own voices heard. A new report on Obamacare's implications for drug reform is out. The DEA is reported to have talked to the Sinaloa cartel, and details of a Mexico City marijuana legalization bill emerge, and more.
So those are headlines from StopTheDrugWar.org, and again, recommended highly for keep up on what's going on the drug war. And then we have a story out of Colorado. This comes from the Huffington Post, written by Matt Ferner. Colorado recreational marijuana sales exceed $5 million in the first week. Colorado marijuana dispensaries made huge sales in the first week of legal recreational marijuana. Owners of the 37 new dispensaries around the state reported first week retail sales to the Huffington Post that, when added together, were roughly $5 million. Now, they're talking about, I guess even the recreational stores are calling them dispensaries. At least they are in this story.
Yeah. That's what Colorado's calling them. They're calling them dispensaries.
Okay, wow, I didn't even know that. That's okay. That's a lot of green for Colorado's legal weed. Colorado, the first state to allow recreational marijuana sales to adults aged 21 and older, has projected nearly $600 million in combined wholesale and retail marijuana sales annually. The state, which expects to collect nearly $70 million in tax revenue from a pot sale this year, won't have its first official glimpse at sales figures until February 20th, when businesses are required to file January tax reports, according to Julie Postlewaite of the State Marijuana Enforcement Division. So yeah, it's going really well. Colorado, the sales are up, and it'll be interesting to see what the figures are in February to get a real grip on kind of money is being made from that by that state on medical marijuana. Well, in this case, recreational marijuana. So I'll go back to my notes here a little bit. We'll finish up the show. We're just coming to an end. I wanted to talk about we talked about this before, the Reynolds oven bags. We have an image of that. They're very inexpensive. They're just a few dollars a box. I think a couple of them come in a box, so they're real cheap. But you put your medicine inside that bag, you give it a twist, you will not smell it inside your car or vehicle. So I'm not saying it'll beat a dog, but it'll definitely prevent police officers from asking you what that smell is, which I've had happen because I wasn't using the bag. So I can tell you about it. We have our Just Say No brochure. If you haven't got the latest one, our Southern Lane County reference brochure for marijuana activities and organizations. Just drop us an email at dankbagman@hotmail.com. So we're going to wrap up and get out of here, and thanks for the crew. We have a great crew come in tonight, and we need more. So we'll see you next week. We'll be here.